Hi friends, Dean here with Escape to Gaming. Today I just want to do an interesting vlog. I've been going through, and I mentioned before, I've been going through and watching many wonderful vlogs in the UK. I thought I had seen, a lot of really cool vlogs here in the States with some of my friends, and I love YouTube. And I discovered some really good vlogs of Steve Benway from the UK. He's got a wonderful channel with some really meaty vlogs, long vlogs, a lot like mine, half an hour to an hour, quite often. And then there's also another wonderful YouTuber, Lawnboyspost1975. I love this guy's vlogs. Now, they're much shorter. A lot of them are under 10 minutes. He feels more comfortable doing the shorter vlogs, but he's got a lot of them, and he posits some wonderful questions and really thought-provoking topics. So I take my hat off to you, Dave, of Lawnboyspost1975. I've loved going through and watching a lot of, I've seen most of your vlogs now, going back for over 200 vlogs, and it's wonderful. It's a real inspiration to me personally, and also for the wonderful Steve Benway, and both of you guys, and I'll have links to both of their channels down below. These guys are wonderful. But there's one vlog in particular that kind of struck a nerve with me, and Dave of Lawnboyspost1975 positive this guy was back in, I think, 2012. And it was a post about why the hate on gamers. Why do people seem to feel that they have the need to stereotype and label you as a gamer? Oh, you're just one of those gamers. Oh, I suppose you're going to go home and play and do more gaming. In other words, you're wasting your time. Well, they'll pontificate endlessly about the football games that they love. And without thinking twice about the vacuous amount of time that they'll spend with their sports and Final Fantasy football, or their television. Some people can just get lost for 6-7 hours a night in television, but that's okay. God forbid you spend a couple hours gaming a day. So, and you'll find quite often that you don't have to look too far, even within your own family. You'll feel the pressure. You'll sense this condescension coming down to you. Now, I'm kind of impervious to this now. I'm more or less indifferent to it. It doesn't bother me like it used to. But 10 years ago, my dad knew exactly how to push my buttons. He'd just let himself in the front door. He'd open up his little nuclear briefcase. He knew exactly which button to press, and boom, there goes an atomic bomb. And like the idiot that I am, I'd allow him to get under my skin. Now, unfortunately, I don't talk with my dad that much anymore. We don't have the greatest relationship, and I feel bad about that. I wish things were different, but my dad, he's a priest, Orthodox priest. He's very opinionated. He's fairly judgmental in a lot of ways, especially, with me, for whatever reason. He just loves to, Now, my dad also has a varied taste. He loves movies and all that. So, and he's also a fan of graphic novels. He loves a lot of the Frank Miller comic series. The Preacher, I think, was one of them. So when the movie Sin City came out, he told me about it. And I didn't see it at the theater, but I went and immediately rented it when I could rent it at Blockbuster. I ended up buying a special edition of it. And it's a great film. But it's like, with rare exception, it's okay for him to watch those kind of violent movies and exploitative films. But if I watch it, everything relates back to, I gotta tell you, son, it's just violent video games. And it's the input that you're feeding your mind. With all these violent Commando and, Predator movies and all this stuff. He loves to kind of like pick at the scab of what makes me popular. I mean, of the things that I really love, which are video games and, oh, Vinny, come on. Video games and, frankly, a lot of them are violent. I remember he came over when I was playing Manhunt on the PlayStation 2. I made the big mistake of allowing him to see me play, just one level of this. And he read me the riot act, God, for like 90 minutes about how my soul is in danger because I'm feeding my mind this trite crap, as he called it. And maybe he has a point. I mean, it is a pretty graphic game, but I loved it. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to make apologies. Vinny, don't hit the tripod, bud. We have to put Vinny in his room here. That's like clockwork. Be right back. Come on, bud. I got you. Sorry about that. Put Vinny back in his room. He gets out of control. He loves his son in here. I like to let him sit. He's good for a while, and he starts brushing up against a tripod and knocking stuff over. But my dad wouldn't get off it. I made the big mistake of letting him see me play Manhunt, on my PlayStation 2, and I just never heard the end of it. He saw me play Black too, another one. Just, God, son, just look at this excessive violence. This is the reason why you have so many problems in your life, with your marriage, and he tries to connect the dots, and he does it very convincingly, and it used to get to me. Now I just see it for what it is. And it's one of the reasons, unfortunately, that I don't have a great relationship with, frankly, either one of my parents. I haven't seen them in years, in fact. But, and I wish nothing bad on him. I think think he's great in his own. Just don't come into my world. And I've had people at work. It's funny, Lawnboy, post 1975 mentioned he had people at work that would judge him. They'd have no problem going to the bar and getting shit-faced every night. That's okay. But God forbid, you put in Black and play a few levels and interact. I mean, it's actually doing more than just sitting watching mindless TV. You're going in and you're doing an interactive experience. So you're actually improving your hand-eye coordination. You're creating your own experience through the interaction of playing a video game. It's beyond Atari 2600 now. Now you're really delving into, military sims like Call of Duty, which I just talked about recently. You're getting into driving games and all that. I have another friend of mine. His name is Dean as well, and we both love cars. We're both into car racing, and we knew a lot of the same people in automotive racing in the early '90s. And we both had Corvettes and raced, and we had raced hell and all this. Well, lately I post a lot of video games, so I'll post all my things on my Facebook as to my reviews and my vlogs and what have you. I get excited, when something comes up with a new game or something. I'll post a trailer of it, whatever. I don't try to hide it. It's just who I am. I've never really considered myself, I guess a gamer, but it's one of my big interests. And as I've gotten older, it's taken the place of a lot of other hobbies. Now, back in the day, my friend Dean and I, we used to do a lot of working on cars constantly. He'd come over and I'd get a new, Chevy truck. He'd come right over with a torch. He'd help me cut the springs. We'd lower it. We worked on cars. We put a lot of time into that, but I still would find time to game. He thinks the gaming is a waste of time and money. Ironically, he goes to the arcades often with his daughter, where he did it one time. I haven't talked to him in a while about it, but he'll go and he'll spend hundreds at the arcade and play at these sit-down driving games, and he gets very competitive with it. And I'm like, dude, you probably could have bought a console for what you've just spent those last 2 arcade visits. Why don't you buy yourself a console? Get yourself, and at the time I think it was like Forza 2 or something was out. I said, get yourself Forza 2. You'll love it, man. It's awesome. You can play anytime you want. You can fine-tune the cars, the suspension. It'd be perfect for you. You like to be competitive. You could do it online. You can do it at home against the AI. You'd love it. Oh, I don't have time for that. It's a waste of time and money. Again, forgetting that he goes to these arcades with his friends and gets drunk and spends a lot of money. The Dave & Buster's and one of them, they're real popular out here in California. And they have bars, and you can have drinks and play video games. They're huge arcades, and it's a big thing. I go to, once a year I'll go to them, and they are fun, but expensive. I almost feel guilty when I leave there. My God, I just could have bought a couple games, for what I've spent here at the arcades. It's so costly now that I don't go more than once a year tops. But just to get that arcade fix, just to bring back a tinge of those memories of the old days, it's something that I enjoy, and I will hit them, once in a while. So I find it interesting. Another friend of mine, on Facebook, I found from over 30 years ago. He lives right over here, over in the Napa Valley next door, and the San Francisco Giants football team is real popular, out here, and it's the Giants, the Giants. It's all he posts. Just constant football. And he just blows up his Facebook page, with all the football stuff. And then the new, it's funny because the GTA 5 came out. I posted a couple trailers. Man, I'm like, I can't wait for this, exclamation point. I'm so excited. Check out this clip and all this stuff. And he posted something on one of them like, oh, you're one of those silly gamers, and he laughed it off, laugh out loud or something, and I'm like, rather. And it's always amusing how people negate you once they label you. Because once you label someone, you negate everything else about that person. Now you've locked into that person is only this, or he's that, and you've disallowed anything else in. So you're limiting yourself ultimately. You think you're limiting that person, but you're labeling yourself as being a judgmental person by defining that person as just a gamer, or that person is just a skateboarder. When I was younger, there was no I mean, when I was leaving high school, the 2600 Atari 2600 was just coming into play. So we really didn't have the gamer thing at school. Now kids are being bullied because they're gamers and stay in a dark cellar playing video games and don't take care of their personal hygiene or whatever. And people have weird stereotypes about gamers. And the older gamers, I mean, you're almost judged as worse because what kind of a creep is this guy? He's in his 40s and 50s, he's still playing video games. And I still get that from both of my parents. I get like a slight, they just still look at me funny. Come on, son, you're still playing video games? Honest to God, and I'm like, here we go, right? And he goes right down the list and reads me the riot act. And I don't talk to him for another 18 months. So, it is what it is. My wife is understanding. When I met my wife, I had my Super NES. And it wasn't more than a week, and I actually left my old apartment and moved in with her until we got married. And I had no problem hooking that NES up to her analog TV. She had a bigger TV than mine. She said, "Oh no, go ahead and hook it up." And we had a blast. We had fun. So when the PlayStation 1 first came out, the first week it came out, we went out and bought one. I was doing well. My business was just taking off. She was a real inspiration for me, and we played a lot of gaming together. She had never played those kind of games, video games. She knew nothing about it. Actually, her and her, I think they had an Atari or one of the 5200 or something. Their parents bought them, put them out in the garage. They'd only relegate them to the garage. Now, you stay out there with that noisy video game stuff. They gave them some lawn chairs and forced them to play in that cold, damp garage. They didn't want it even in the house. So I thought that was interesting. But my wife and I, she has an understanding. Now, she likes words with friends. We'll be watching a movie, and I look over and I'm like, what the hell? I hear her Apple phone or Droid or whatever the hell it is making noises. What's that? Is that a phone call? Oh, it's just my words with friends. And she's watching the Sons of Anarchy or whatever, and she's doing her words with friends at the same time. It's funny. A few years ago, she was heavily into the Farmville and English Farmville and Cafe World and all of these. And she would get out 2 hours early every morning. I mean, really early in the morning. And she would go down and go, I have to do my crops. And she'd pound half a pot of coffee while she's doing her crops in Farmville. So I couldn't get into the Farmville. I watched her. I looked at she was heavily into these social Facebook games. And she's kind of got it out of her system. Now she doesn't care at all for them. It's kind of, she just likes the words with friends. That's pretty much it. She's not into the Candy Crush and God, I don't even know the names of all the other ones, but she has lots of friends, and a lot of her friends at work, that's all they do all day at work is play those games. But yet they're not gamers. They'll go home instead and watch, vacuous 7 hours of, cable TV. I pulled the plug on my cable in LA. I can't take TV. It's a waste of my time. I can't handle the commercials. They're fun the first time or two you see them. Then it gets old. I don't like the programming. I don't like the politics. My dad will spend, my God, all day long, his TV, talk radio, Fox News. He's always got this noise in the background. All day. I mean, we're talking 7, 8, 9 hours of it, That's okay, though. But God forbid, I pop a video game in for 90 minutes a night or 3 hours an evening. I mean, I don't game as hard as I used to. I probably right now I'm putting in between 7 and 12 hours a week of video games. Some weeks it's 5 hours. Some weeks it's 25 hours or more. I mean, it depends if I have some time off. Depends on how motivated I am to play the game. I go through phases with it. So in some ways, I could be considered a casual gamer just based on the hours I put in, but I consider myself a hardcore gamer because it's all that's on my mind. It's, 70% of what I'm thinking about all the time are video games, doing my YouTube show, looking forward to watching my friends' vlogs, and their top 10, video game favorites of the year or whatever. I love that stuff. It's exciting. It's something new for me to do. Years ago, I was considered a skateboarder. That's all I did was skateboard. I was in the early stages where we literally invented the sport, and I actually had some major skateboarders in my apartment hanging out. I hung out with Stacy Peralta. I can't even remember half of the guys. The guy that did the stunts for Back to the Future on the skateboard, he actually hung out at my place. I had to yell at him. He's throwing beer bottles off my balcony into the tennis court. These guys are out of control. But I was into the whole skateboarding scene back the early to mid 80s. Real hot and heavy with that. And then I just kind of outgrew it. I got some bad injuries. I skated and went down the bottom of a pool. Back then we didn't wear pads or helmets. We just skated pools and half pipes all day long. And I seriously damaged one of my kneecaps, and it's never been the same. So I had to slowly stop skating. It's painful for me to do a lot of that stuff. Then I had a car accident, which just, frankly limited me even more back in 2000. So my life is not the same. I can't do a lot of the dirt bikes. I used to love dirt bikes and being outdoors and all that. So I had so many facets to my life, including cars and restoring cars and drag racing and autocrossing. But I can't afford it anymore. So now I'm perfectly happy to put in Forza 4, Forza Horizon, or Gran Turismo back on my PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 days. I mean, to me, the driving sims, I have a lot of that same competitive spirit. I can experiment with the settings of my cars and then take it out on the track, see if it does better or worse. I love the minutia of video games, that you can really get into worlds within worlds without worrying about cops, without worrying about headaches, without worrying about going over a center divider like I did with my 78 Trans Am at 115 miles an hour into head-on traffic, amazingly just missing concrete light poles and other cars. I mean, I've walked away from some incredible high-speed accidents, and one of them I didn't walk away from, and I'm paying the price for it today. But in a way, I'm thankful because it's helped me to focus on what I can do, and that's my movie collection and my video gaming. That's what I am. So I am a gamer, and I'm proud of it. I don't make any bones. I have the least bit of embarrassment posting on Facebook my reviews and my vlogs and my feelings on gaming. I think that's where it's at. That's who I am, and I'm not going to split hairs over it or defend my position on it whatsoever. My wife understands it. I mean, she's pretty understanding of it. Although she loses patience with me when I start raging. The other night I was playing on Modern Warfare 2. One level I did like 6 times, over and over and over. It wasn't clear what I was supposed to do. And I started, swearing, and then I'll go from sitting on the edge of the couch, I'll start standing up with a controller, and then she knows, okay, that's it. You gotta calm down. You're gonna have a heart attack. And frankly, I'm sick of hearing you swearing and raging in the background. So a little love tap from her, and it reminds me I got to take it down a notch. Sometimes I'll just shut it off and come back to it an hour and a half later or something. I invest a lot of emotions and energy, and I really get into it. And one of these days, I might have to show some footage of me raging at a game. It is kind of amusing. She's got kind of blackmails me. She's got 3 video pieces of me raging that she took without me knowing it. And it was pretty funny. I said, God, don't put that on Facebook. I mean, honestly, but she won't, But, I've thought of actually doing some of that. But I love gaming. It's who I am. I don't make any bones about it. Kids today, I could see them probably being, feeling judged as being a gamer and the stereotype that goes with it. Again, like, Dave said in Lawnboyspost1975, people have no issue with going into a bar and getting shit-faced or wasting time with their favorite soap operas and all that night after night or day after day. That's okay, but God forbid you pop a video game. And I just don't see why there has to be the label and the stigma. I think it really is more defining of the person that's being judgmental than it is the gamer that's being, I guess, ridiculed. So I've taken heat. As you're an older gamer, it looks out of place. I've got a few relatives that are kind of weird about it. Now, ironically, my father-in-law, I think he's like pushing 76 years old. He games twice as much as I do. He'll put in 15 hours and up a week of game. Of course, he's retired now. And he's a retired, minister. He worked for the phone company. He also, was a minister and traveled around to different churches and nursing homes and things like that. He's a really nice guy. And I'll go over there. He's got a PlayStation 3, and he loves it. This is a hardcore game. This guy loves the game. He's played Red Dead Redemption, got twice at 100% completion. I think he's on his 3rd playthrough of that. He's very funny. He only likes third-person shooters. He, for whatever reason, will not play a first-person shooter. I got him Skyrim, and I try to tell him, look, you don't have to play it first-person. It has a third-person, capacity, so he actually tried it and enjoyed it based on that. And we played a lot of, Tomb Raider Underworld, Tomb Raider Legend, Assassin's Creed 1. We've had a lot of fun. We played a lot of older games. In fact, one of the favorite games that he gave me was this Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And he made it all. I could never finish this game. He went all the way through. He has the patience of Job. This guy will sit and put some serious time into the games. And he actually bought me, I think it was like Christmas of 2010, just right before the new Twisted Metal came out for Valentine's Day, he bought me a PlayStation 3. He goes, "Why don't you have a PlayStation 3, son?" I go, "I just haven't got around to getting one. I want to, because there's so many exclusives I want to play." So he surprised me and bought me my PlayStation 3, thank God. It's a wonderful system. I love it. And I'm buying more games for it, and I've actually enjoyed some real good exclusives on it recently. But he's 76 years old, and here's a guy who just loves to game. It's hard to label him as a gamer. He doesn't care what anyone says. He's going to do what he wants to do. But what's funny is we'll play together, and I forget who he is, and I'll start raging. And he's very patient. He won't say anything. He'll watch me. My mother will come up, though, and she'll hear me, and she'll kick me. She'll sit next to me and kick my leg. "Son," honest to God, because I'll start saying "motherfucker," or "cocksucker," or God knows what. I mean, horrible things. And then right after I say it, "Oh my God, I apologize." "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean that," And then 5 minutes later, I'll say it again. It's kind of funny looking back on it. Depending on the game, I think that was Uncharted 2. I just one night I was raging. I just got this endless spawning enemies. I was just getting to me. I was like getting under my nerves. I had 1,000 Diet Cokes. I was all wound up and edgy. And my mother was constantly hounding me about the swearing. And it was funny. And looking back on it, it was funny. It wasn't funny at the time. And I actually sent him a nice email apologizing. I really was embarrassed. I shouldn't have been that way. "That's okay," he said. "I know you love games. And that's really all that matters." And it had kind of a calming effect on me. And I realized that it really doesn't matter. It's just a fun hobby we love to do. Some people get it. Some people will never get it. They'd rather sit up on their throne, feel 4 inches taller than you, and look down with some condescension or whatever. It's on them. That's their problem. It has nothing to do with you. I'm independent of the good opinion of other people. In fact, one of my favorite things I love to say is that your opinion of me is none of my business. I actually love that one. And that I'm able to put a lot of that to bed now, and it doesn't bother me. People are going to judge me. I've had, rude comments on my own channel. You're going to find, again, I just did a thing, what defines a gamer. I got into a lot of that. It was a pretty lengthy rant. But everyone has their opinion, and that's fine. Like assholes, everyone has one, So I have mine, and mine is for the positive. I love to game, and I support my friends that are gamers, the young ones, 21 years old. My daughter games a little bit. Now, her boyfriend, he's heavily into the League of Legends thing. That's all he likes to play. And I can talk to him about that. I enjoy going over and seeing his PC rig and having him tell me the games that he likes. It's fine. I think it's great that we can all enjoy the hobby. So it'd be nice to have a little less labeling, a little bit more understanding of the hobby that we all love. So that's my rant on it. I just want to get this off my shoulder. I saw that post that Lawnboyspost1975 did. And it really inspired me to do this little rant. This is kind of my video response to it. So thanks, Dave, for you posited a really good vlog, even though it is an older one. I really enjoy going through your vlogs, and it means a lot to me, your interaction with me, and I appreciate it very much. But anyway, that's it, guys. I'll have a link to his video down below, along with Steve Benway's wonderful channel and Lawnboyspost1975. These guys, you got to go through their vlogs if you got the time. They're fantastic. So. Anyway, that's another little vlog from Escape to Gaming, and I just appreciate your time so much. Thanks for watching, guys, and enjoy your games no matter what they are.